Today is panning out to be a day of utter disappointment and deceit. I started out by going to the dentist this morning. The reception area was utter chaos. They've had a new electronic sign-in device. It's attached to the wall next to the reception desk, requires you to select your month of birth, followed by the date, the year, and then to select which spirit animal best describes you. The options being a rather disgruntled-looking badger, a one-eyed pigeon, or a ferret in a turtleneck. I'd have preferred a house cat that judges you from across the room, but as it wasn't an option, I went for the badger. It was causing a right to-do. Maxine, who works on the reception desk, was refusing to sign people in by traditional methods, insisting that the new device was used. For someone who is now effectively redundant, she appears to have gained stripes and status, judging by her authoritative tone. The old dears were struggling, bless them. It's a big adjustment, all these technical advances. Fancy device or no fancy device, the appointment was still 20 minutes late. Always the same in that place. They had a copy of the Hertfordshire Herald in there on the coffee table. There's been a murder. Well, a body has been found. In the marshes of Jord Moor. Such a bleak place. Almost lifeless. Has a chilling feel about it, even if you visit in the height of summer. It's constantly boggy, on account of how the River Cale forks around it. She hasn't been identified. Her limbs have been removed, although buried with her. They say early 30s. She's blonde. No age, is it? They haven't really said much more on the matter. Well, other than there being a Tamagotchi at the location. There are some wicked people out there. The police are treating it as suspicious. Keith's always wanting to take me to Jord Moor. He desperately wants to go dogging. Apparently it's a hot spot for dogging. He's obsessed with the idea. I've told him plainly I do not want to go dogging at Jord Moor. No, it's not for me. Besides, we don't have a dog. Based on that, it's an impossibility to go dogging. And it's the early morning doggers that always seem to find the dead bodies, isn't it? I was called into my appointment by a TV screen, which I thought was rather impersonal. Part of the digitalisation strategy, I suppose. Maxine was sat dunking chocolate bourbons into her bovril whilst fingering through the latest Menopause Monthly magazine, doing her utmost to look invisible to the waiting room of impatient patients. The dental hygienist sat me down, clipped a bib on me, and inserted the mouth prop. Such an uncomfortable contraption. Then in walked the dentist, not my usual chap. I don't know this one. On account of his face mask and hat, I could only see his eyes. They looked friendly, then familiar. He then proceeded to ask me questions about my dental health. Why he insisted on doing this whilst having my mouth propped open, I do not know. I answered as best I could, with a series of grunts and nodding of the head. After prodding and poking my teeth and gums for a few minutes, he said, "All done." My teeth are in fantastic condition, of which I am aware, although he needn't have added "for your age." Cheek. He then inquired as to if I remembered him. His eyes did look familiar. Usually I'm quite good at recognising people. I asked if I could take out the mouth contraption, and once removed, responded, "I'm afraid not." With that, he lowered his face mask. It was Dr. David, Vanessa's brother, from the party at Watton Wood. Only he isn't a doctor. He's a liar. He is a dentist. As he looked on at me with his dashing smile, I was filling with fury. If there is one thing I cannot tolerate, it's being lied to. It was completely unnecessary to masquerade as a doctor. I can understand why he wouldn't want people to know he was a dentist, but to pass yourself off as an educated person of standing and stature when you are not is beyond the pale. It's a shame you had to rush off, he said. We could have had some fun. You should come over again. I drive a Jaguar F-Type in blue. I was mortified by the suggestion. I know full well what they get up to now, and even though the Jaguar F-Type is respectable and tempting, I will not be part of further scandals like before. Embarrassed, I set to leave. As I came out to reception, Maxine was frantically fishing out a broken bit of bourbon from her bottle with a pick. I paid and left. A doctor. I feel completely hoodwinked. Is no one who they say they are these days? Oh, and if that wasn't disappointing enough, it's the second Wednesday of February today, which means that Keith will be expecting matrimonial duties to be carried out. It's a tradition. The second Wednesday of February and his birthday, which is the 13th of August. Exactly 6 months apart, although it seems to come around quicker each year. Feels more like monthly. It's one of those things I have to grin and bear, you know. The actual act itself is little more than 3 minutes. The foreplay, however, that goes on a little bit too long for me. Bores the life out of me, if truth be told. It can last a full 2 hours. Just goes on and on. The routine itself is always the same. I'll be sat on the bed, Keith will be stood with his clicker in his hand. He'll then produce the latest version of his Safer Sex PowerPoint presentation, which he plays on the TV. It's 192 slides of text-heavy content, with a handful of diagrams and a 17-minute video on how to correctly wear the PPE. The condom and femidom I can just about cope with, but personally I don't feel that the hard hats and eye goggles are necessary. However, he insists. It's both a chore and a bore to have sexual intercourse with Keith. The bedroom has to have a deep clean before and after, by yours truly, of course, with specific cleaning products for the occasion, unscented, and then followed by an audit by Keith. I wouldn't mind, but so much effort and he's over and out before Alexa's even finished playing Je t'aime. Disappointment. That's Keith for you. Oh, I long for some passion and excitement in my life. Oh, to be thrown about the place in a fire exchange of lust that leaves me weak-legged. Instead, I get health and safety training, a workbook to complete, PPE, and 3 minutes of wondering if it's even in. That's why I always book my dentist appointments, you see, for the second Wednesday of February. So I have something to look forward to so that the day is not a complete waste. Plus, it's an added benefit if I have to have anaesthetic, so that I can't feel Keith's tongue as he's rummaging round my mouth during the 3 minutes of forgettable fornication. So there you have it, a disappointing start to the day with a deceitful dentist, only to be followed by training in health and safety and a half-yearly hump with a horny husband. Perhaps I judged the bourbons and Bovril too harshly.